Michael.
How has day been after, well, you spent 2 days here, so
I've been here for 2 days.
what were some of the highlights from the sessions, from just walking around, people you met?
Look, a couple of things that probably stood out for me. Firstly, there's a lot of conversations going on about crypto.
Very topical.
Which is very topical. You know, I was at one of the professional bodies, ran an event, and they said, put your hand up in the room if you've got clients who've invested in crypto.
Yep.
Everyone put their hand up, right? So that is great. So this is contributing to accounting firms learning more about crypto.
Which they probably need to.
They do, absolutely they do.
Had that much
Yeah.
exposure.
I got a couple of accounting firm clients myself who specialise in it, and they said they're getting lots of clients because accountants don't know about it.
I noticed there's a few, I think. Was it Dale's one?
I think so, yeah. So that's one thing I really noticed. Another thing I really noticed, which was great, was a lot of conversations about automation.
Yep, as always.
Yeah, a big topic. Do you know what? You say as always, but I think we are now actually starting to reach a tipping point where inside the accounting profession, if you like, the cost of accessing automation is coming down to a point where firms who've been here today, the small to medium firms...
Well, it's all SaaS-based, isn't it?
Yeah, it is all SaaS-based.
That's why everyone talks about tech stacks.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like this,
I
the
absolutely
stacks are
think...
getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, but I think, tech that the big firms have been able to access is finally starting to, as it always does, right?
It's accessible to a sole practitioner
Absolutely.
that makes no staff.
Yeah. So certainly noticing that. Not too much here that was a real surprise for me, I suppose. But what I do love about events like this is that it is kind of everything in one place.
Yep.
An accountant can come along and go, oh yeah, that's interesting.
And it's just good to network, even whether it's exhibitors and getting
absolutely.
to
I mean,
know
that's
some new sponsors.
one of the reasons I come. I've been catching up with people you haven't seen for a while.
For a couple of years.
Yeah, well, a couple of years, yeah.
And you did a chat as well just now.
I did. Yes, I was on a panel.
Yep.
We were talking about automation, funnily enough. So I was talking about robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, and I think the message that was coming out of that was definitely, hey, accountants, this is now within your reach. Go and educate yourself a bit more, and go and have a play with some of these tools.
What are the tools that you're recommending to your clients right now? Like top 3 tools that you need to get that in your practice.
Look, I am vendor agnostic.
But you play around with quite a few. I'm sure you've advocated.
Yeah. So there was one thing that really caught my eye, which was Valenta.
Valenta,
yeah. So what they're doing is they're effectively providing a way for accountants to access some of the automation platforms.
Yeah.
There's some kind of behind the scenes.
So you haven't played around with them, though?
Yeah, no, I haven't personally. Yeah. But what I've been seeing makes me go, wow, that's really today. Every one of my clients could use that.
I heard one of the issues, and I had a chat to a couple of the guys that are known for their automation, automating their practices.
Yeah.
And they said, look, in principle sounds great, but everything is changing so fast. When you have a robotics process, it won't be able to keep up because they'll move the login button from here to there, and they'll move this process, and they'll change numbers for that, and then it'll be out of whack.
Do you know what I reckon? There is an element of truth in that, but I reckon we're overstating the issue that issues that come with that. Yes, change is inevitable and things will move, but I don't think it's actually that hard to respond to that.
Okay, but back to the tools. Any tools that you always recommend?
Look, I would always say to my clients, look, cloud-based tools is definitely where it's at right now. So if you're working with clients and you need reporting tools, then typically, it's the big 3. It's Spotlight, it's Fathom, it's Futurely are the ones that people, ironically,
Tableau?
none of... Tableau's bigger end of town. Most of my clients are probably not going to be investing in that.
Yeah, okay.
Ironically, those 3 names I just mentioned, none of them were here, so that's kind of funny.
I saw their teams walking around.
And look, typically what I would say to clients is, look, here's this problem that you've been trying to solve, or this opportunity you've been trying to take advantage of.
Here's a tool.
Here's some tools. I won't necessarily recommend a specific one. I would say...
You don't recommend ever?
Look, sometimes I do, because it's very
surely
clear.
There's one clear tool that's
really good. In some circumstances there might be, but there's lots of different situations, lots of different problems and opportunities. So, but sometimes I'm more likely to say, here's the main players that are going to be in that space. You go and have a look at them. Here's a few comments on some pros and cons. I might say, hey, I've got some other clients that have already been using these. Why don't you talk to them?
Yeah. Okay.
You know.
Tell me, obviously you've gone into the mentoring aspect of accounting, so that's your biggest focus right now. What are the probably 2 or 3 biggest headaches right now for them?
Yeah. Look, there's a couple of pretty obvious ones. I think, people and people.
Yeah.
Staff is not a
That's
word
why I
I
said 3,
use.
because if I said like 1, it'd be like, okay, recruitment.
Yeah. So look, people. In fact, I ran a webinar the other day on how to attract and retain the best people for your firm.
I should have
Yeah.
gone on with you.
And it's clear there's been a bit of a perfect storm of events in some way, which COVID is a part of. And interestingly, that's why things like automation become quite important, because if we're having trouble getting people, or maybe if we can get a few more things being done via automation, then hey.
Are you a proponent of offshoring?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
That's
the solution that I'm seeing most firms use to deal with the shortage.
A pretty large proportion of my clients are offshoring.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because I recommend it, but certainly because I've made them aware of it.
Yeah.
I've got a few clients who've even probably philosophically opposed to it, but feel...
Explain that to me.
So
I have a few clients like that as well. I even have candidates that tell me, Michael, if that firm does outsourcing, I'm not working for them. I'm like, we outsource everything in today's day and age.
That is true.
So I'm very confused why they feel
but I get it. Some people go, look, I just feel a little uncomfortable in sending jobs offshore. Now, of course, in Australia, in the last few years, we've ended up in almost full employment, you could argue, right? But particularly what I've noticed is in regional areas, people are probably a little bit more sensitive to jobs
noticed that as well, but even
going offshore. But they're left with no choice quite often. To do that. So it has been to fill capacity gaps. And there are some really big providers of those services to accountants who do a good job. So,
any other philosophical reasons?
No, I think just discomfort of jobs going offshore. Yeah.
It's because they want jobs to be in Australia? Just that kind of like go Aussie?
And it's interesting, actually, Michael, you might know. For example, Telstra, who've been a big user historically, they've actually started bringing some of them back from offshore.
I've heard a few companies.
So I don't, it's interesting. Horses for courses, lots of different things. But certainly, you might have seen there was a Bond University study 18 months ago, and they estimated that I think it was about 40% of accounting firms in Australia are using offshoring in some form.
40%? I was trying to get a stat somewhere.
That's what as a Bond University study.
Do you think that's the case?
Look, based on my own client base, which probably is often more advanced thinking firms, but I wouldn't be surprised by that.
And are they using BPOs or are they doing it themselves?
Mostly using BPOs,
like Toa.
That's some of the big players. And there's been some long-term plays that predate Toa that have been doing this for a long time. So it's a very proven thing. Any
other themes that?
So sorry, you asked me about the sort of the challenges for firms. People is absolutely the first one, so we kind of got into all of that. I think the second one has just, in some ways, kind of relates to all of what we've been talking about, and this overwhelming choices around technology. Like there is so much technology around. Accountants are being bombarded by people.
Well, there's a term now, tech fatigue.
Right. So accountants are definitely kind of feeling a bit of that. So I think that's a bit of an issue for some people. I would also say that I think workflow and managing workflow, just the process of getting the work done. Some firms still struggle with that. Probably not doing as well as we could be.
Is there a recommendation from you?
Look, you've just got to
horses for courses again.
Okay. Look, no. Well, it's put technology aside for a minute. It's like just get a big whiteboard and draw your process out, right? Brainstorm what's the right way to do this, and then overlay the tools, right?
And then figure it out and do it.
Because most firms are too busy. They don't actually stop to kind of go, okay,
and just do it the way it's always been done.
If we were building this from scratch, how would we do it? And I reckon it'd look quite different in some cases.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Been a pleasure.
Good to talk with you.